How much time? 30? 30 seconds? I'm on right now. I don't believe you.
Run.
What?
Under my leadership, we will engage constructively with the government. Not opposition for opposition's sake, not scoring party political points or making impossible demands, but with the courage to support where that's the right thing to do.
How do you brew, good people? Welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, PM's Brews, if you will. I'm your humble host Lefty, you're all very welcome on the stream. Let's brew this thing. Chatchos, who was first in the chat room this evening. Let's give, I can't quite see because of the poll, was it Stu? Or there appears to be some sort of emoji. But you're all very welcome. Yori Gibson is here as well. Peasant Revolt, nice to see you. The shouty bloke is also here. Hard to balance out the volume, you see. Morbius as well, great to see you all. Please do fill out the poll as you enter and hit thumbs up to help support the stream. The poll concerns a bit of news today, an apparent coup against Keir Starmer. We might be talking about that later on. But for now, let us know if you think that there will be a challenge against Starmer for the Labour leadership before the next general election, which is scheduled for 2029. But you can bet your bollocks to a barn dance there'll probably be one sooner than that. An election, that is, as well as a challenge. So, do you think the challenge will come from streeting? Do you think a challenge will come from some other ghoul? Or do you actually not think that there'll be a challenge because you recognise that you're insane? 17% of the current audience appear to acknowledge their insanity. Make of that what you will. We have a fine audience here on the Brews at 10. The Brew Crew, the Brew Chachos. Did I ask you? Yeah, I've already asked you to hit thumbs up. Share around social media as well. I don't think I mentioned that one. FSM is the dog. Very nice to see you. An argument between Starmer and Streeting is an argument between Narcissus and his shadow, Barry Cardner. On Newsnight. Barry Cardner. Davinia just jumping in the chat as well. Nice to see you. Also, how are you brewing? Heady. Also up there further in the chat. I'm just scrolling up now. Doc Davies is in the house as well. Nice to see a lot of familiar faces. Or familiar names, as should be. Although some of you do have your faces in the avatars. Very small. Welcome one and all. Keith's catchphrases, of course, this evening, the third game in the new league formats. Returning to regular PMQs from last week's mouthful of an interim Deputy Prime Minister's question time featuring Lammy's lingo. And I'm probably more surprised that I remembered all of that in one go than you are. But Lammy certainly made a big deal about filling in for Keith. Recent sessions have been a lot more calm. Back to his usual style of output. Anyway, PMQs will be the main bulk of the stream, as I said. Focusing a bit more on West Streeting, this apparent coup. But he is absolutely awful. He's been doing the media rounds today. I'll be throwing my 2 cents into a little bit about that after PMQs. Maybe one or two more bits about UK politics. We'll see what happens. As well as this Trump email, new emails, fresh the scandal of the day with Donald Trump. Plus a bunch more, worth sticking around for a while. Do get comfortable, people, get yourself a brew, or whatever other beverage you might like to have this time of an evening. I understand Floor Snake is particularly partial to a Solidari speckled hen. So cheers, whatever you're drinking. This one's for you, Brewsters. Sorry to hear you've got a cold there, Davinia. Hope you feel better soon. Keep those responses to the poll coming in if you're just joining us, people. The level of insanity is now reduced to 14% of the audience. We'll keep our eye on that. It's going to be like one of those stock market commentary shows. You are watching Trade of the Day. And Insanity's down 3%. Let's go over to some guy with a ludicrous physical representation of what this means on the Nasdaq. just back on the medical side. Doc has pills and pills, which you'd expect from a dog. And Zara Sultana's on Question Time tomorrow. Thanks for that heads up. FSM is the dog. I hadn't actually caught wind of that, to be honest. That'll be the first time that she's ever been on, will it not? Corbyn's been on once, hasn't he? How many times is Nigel Farage on now? Is it something like 17? Am I in the right kind of ballpark there, people? For anybody who knows, recalls that specific statistic. That should be good. Actually, speaking of Zara Sultana, I do have a little bit of an update for you people with regards to upcoming content. Your Party, which Zara Sultana is of course one of the co-founders of, is all over the country at the moment, organising citizens' assemblies. We saw some clips from a recent one in Wandsworth, wasn't it, recently? Just a couple of days ago. And they're going to be here in the Northwest in a couple of weeks' time, on the 29th. That's a Saturday. There was a bit of a clash with schedules. In fact, the last poll that was on, like one of the recent polls at least, was a vote as to whether to go to the Your Party conference or whether to attend the Defend Our Juries protest in Manchester. But it turns out, people, we can actually cover both. I'll just throw this one your way. So apparently the Liverpool one is very popular. They've added another date. There are 2 conference dates now, on the 29th and the 30th. So we could cover one on the Saturday and the other on the Sunday. It'll be a busy weekend. I'm not sure how quickly we can sort of edit all the footage together, but we'll have to see. But I found this out. I've actually been in touch with Your Party about getting hold of a press pass for the event. And it was at that point that I was asked which day I would like it for. I was under the impression it was just one day on the 29th. So that said, could go and cover the DOJ thing in Manchester on the Saturday, and then Your Party on Sunday. How does that sound, people? Quality content and variety of content as well. And someone's going to have the work cut out for them in the editing room. That's for sure. Jamie, Alice, nice to see you. No, they've not officially named it Your Party yet. It's going to be having a different name. They did sort of cover that. I saw. I think I even referred to Crispin Flintoff's. Oh, I played a clip from it, I think. Coverage. No, I don't think I played a clip from it. But nonetheless, they did go over what will happen with regards to the name. It's still going to be voted on by members, but as far as I know, I think they said that they won't be announcing it at conference. They've still got a lot of regional meetings and democracy stuff to do, but I do wish, like a lot of people, they would get a move on with it. I think, you know, for anybody who backs them, supports them. I've not signed up myself, brackets, yet, and the same applies to the Green Party, brackets, yet, question marks on both. they need to get going, really. Polanski's really leaving everyone for dust at the moment, current government included. It's got to be said. But this great tandem of socialism, I think, would be very monumental in this country. Just one other bit on the name, actually. I did hear Zara Sultana herself say recently that she was hoping for, I don't think, sort of pushing for, she can't like rig it or anything, obviously not, but just the left or the left party she thought would be suitable. The Socialist Party, it's been used before, it's been and gone, as has Democratic Socialist Party, even though they technically still exist. We're talking about a very small membership, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but that will be down to members to decide, so there you have it. Waiting to hear the news. Like I said, I've applied for the press pass, fingers crossed we'll be able to get down there. I think it's better to go in that capacity as well. I was also considering signing up, but not being a Liverpool resident, I didn't think it would be in the spirit of the format of the Citizens' Assembly to participate in the breakout rooms and all the other things that come with the Citizens' Assembly, and also you'd get put forward for sortition, which, if anybody's familiar with those formats, Citizens' Assembly formats with regards to selecting representatives, it's not done in the old-fashioned way either by into whomever it may be. It's actually done randomly, as if by lottery, so to speak, sortition. It's never been done in the modern era. The Romans used to have kind of a version of it, but I won't get deep in like a historical deep dive or anything where that's concerned. I'd like to know your thoughts on what you think about sortition, if you're familiar with that, relative to how things are done at the moment. And that also, I think, really highlights that people at the moment are asking what are the main differences between Green Party and your party, and I think that's one of the fundamental differences as well, that what's the word? Difference in formats. And yeah, also great to see that Defend Our Juries are going to be coming to Manchester as well. So some homegrown protest content to come, as well as coverage of your party. Will be, if not would, get the press pass, be able to take part in the press conference and Q&A and things, and who knows, might be able to get a couple of decent interviews with some well-known people. As always, we'll endeavour to do our best, people. Alright, so that's pretty much the updates and things. It's going to be an action-packed weekend towards the end of the month there. You accidentally clicked on someone you don't know on the poll. Is there a way to delete your votes? I'm not sure there is. Peasants Revolt. It's a pretty sort of basic application. If it comes down to a draw, you could perhaps decide who breaks the tie. as you'd say across the Atlantic. So if it does end up in a draw, or a tie, or a stalemate, then yeah, we'll refer to Peasants' Revolts. But at the moment, 12%, the proportion of insane viewers has gone down. Although I'm sure that some of you are hedging your bets on one of those, you know, real-world betting apps that you can bet on all sorts of crazy shit these days. Real-world events, not just like stocks and trades and short selling or whatever it is, but that someone will say something on a whatever. Is that what's going on, people? Actually, I better just double check. Goodness me, we've been on live chat the whole time. No, we are on live chat. I thought we were on top chat. Keep the votes coming in, people. Most of you think that there will be a challenge. It's running pretty close though. 40 to 48% between West Streeting and some other ghoul. Let's see what happens, people. Super Tiny, nice to see you. Aaron Gray as well, Specs Bean Farmer. Solidari-Tea. How do you brew? Jamie, yes, apparently they are doing sortition. This is something that organisations like Humanity Project, free plug there for Humanity Project, I'm actually part of as well. But that was in a recent address, that was at Wandsworth as well. And that was the time I'd heard Sultana or Corbyn say that officially. He also, at the same time, officially recognised the party's anti-Zionist stance. So it's not just Zara Sultana's personal political position on that. Whilst Corbyn himself hasn't come out and made the same declaration, for himself, he has reiterated that that will be one of the fundamental parts of the party's constitution, which is still being formed. There will be other socialist parts of the core as well. And just to remind as well, there will not be sort of a manifesto announcement at the conference. They also mentioned one of the other senior organisers in the footage I saw. Do recommend checking that out though on the Crispin Flintoff show. Which I think I mentioned yesterday as well. And I can't believe I've got this far into the stream without giving a shout out to all the members. Thanks everyone for all of 116 memberships now on the way to 250. Awesome stuff. Thanks for renewing. Thanks to everybody who's gifted to others recently as well. Other ways you can support the stream even. Super chats are open as well as super thanks if you're watching back later on. And there's a Buy Me a Coffee page. You can check the Link for that in the description of the stream or any other content on the channel. Thank you very much, everybody. Another way you can help support us, make sure that you've hit thumbs up as well. I think we've got some gifted memberships coming in as well, a few earlier on. Apologies while I was waffling away there. Casey Marshall sending 5. Thank you very much for those, Casey. Let's big up Casey. And FSM is the dog, just joining with a membership as well. So, welcome. Hope you enjoy the perks. Hit the join button to check them out. It's just 99p if you'd like to add yourself to that roster we just saw. Thanks again. FSM is the dog and Katie Marshall. Big up in the chat, please, people. I do insist. Christopher Hughes. Yeah, good point there about the still official Socialist Party. Dave Nellist. Dave Nellist, fantastic. I've seen him speak a few times in Manchester and a couple of other places as well, actually. And as you point out there, yeah, of the Corbyn era, joining Parliament at the same time. But were organisations like Trade Union Socialist Coalition are concerned, I know that a lot of grassroots and unions are getting together to decide what they're going to do about this new green surge and the formation of your party. We'll have to wait and see. Are people going to coalesce? I'm really hoping there aren't going to be any splits, or, you know, the socialist vote has to be very concentrated in every seat, and I think it's absolutely necessary to just have one candidate. But where Tusk specifically are concerned, I can't say that I've heard anything official recently from them on the great Dave Nellist. Right, we'll get into PMQs then, people. For lack of an opening comedy clip. But hopefully we can squeeze a few laughs out of this back and forth pantomime circus. So time for game 3. In the season of the very first season of Keith's Catchphrases.
Oh no!
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Keith's Catchphrases on good old PM's Brews at 10. So what's this all about for anyone who doesn't know the game? We pit two phrases or words against one another, basically keep a score. There are a few rules and or caveats, if you want to put it that way, to go with the game. First of all, with the title being Keith's Catchphrases, they have to be spoken by Starmer himself. Rule number 2, it's a winner stays on format unless they've already played all the other contenders, in which case we switch both. We also switch both if there's a draw. Variations are allowed, for example, past tenses, pluralisation and so on. Where scoring is concerned, it's 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw or tie, and nothing for a loss in this game. The season lasts until summer break 26, wink wink, or Keith resigns, whichever comes sooner, wink wink. Okay, it doesn't look good at the moment, this display of strength completely backfiring, with Starmer trying to turn Downing Street into a fortress, the same way that Alexander Boris Johnson did. Hedy, thank you very much for those awesome gifted memberships. Much appreciated, as always. A long-term viewer and supporter of the channel. Let's please give Hedy a shout out in the chat. I've not updated the goal, so that's 11 now. Excellent. 127. Brilliant. Which officially takes us over halfway towards the membership goal. We broke the ton, and now we passed the halfway point. Thank you very much for your contributions this evening, people. Big up, big up. Brat, brat. Banging, innit? Okay, barring any questions about the rules, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We'll just take a quick look at the latest standings in the league before we get on to the game itself. Starting at the top, we still have Budget, who lost last week. However, they won 5-0 during their game, and another 2 mentions yesterday gives them 7 mentions, so they're top on number of mentions with 3 points, shortly followed by last week's Victor Postman Twat, who represents the word deliver, by the way. Level on points, but it was a 5-2 win. Change, you can see there, hasn't played yet, but Deal, which you can see currently in 4th, will be featuring this evening. It is actually Postman Twat's old adversary who knocked them off the podium following that incredible run before we changed to the league format, if you'll recall. So they do battle once more this evening, people. And down at the bottom with, you know, basically shite all. Those who haven't played yet, Black Hole, Plan, Security, and then finally Inheritance, who lost 1-0 on the opening day. Okay. Let's get on to it. See if Postman Twat can defend the lead. Just make sure everything's in order here. Order, order. Okay, I think we're set to go. Take it away, Flannelmouth.
I'd like to welcome the Canadian speaker and the ministers with him today. Right, we now come to Brown's question. Lincoln John.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Can I also welcome the Canadian speaker? And can I also...
It was the Portuguese last week, wasn't it, when Lammy, on the left as you look there, was standing in for Starmer. Just want to point out, for anybody who doesn't know, this is my first time watching PMQs. I've not seen any of this, so it's a genuine first time reaction from me. And I seem to have paused it. This is a caption this moment. Rachel Reeves sticking her tongue out at the opposite benches. Or is that just the lighting? What do you think there, people? Early freeze frame caption coming in. And what is on David Lammy's mind?
also welcome
Apart from an increasing amount of grey hair, of course.
Mervyn Kirsch to the gallery today. He's a member of our greatest generation, a D-Day veteran.
He's an absolute twat and a bastard, but you can't fault the hair, that's correct, Eddie. I won't interrupt too much, just a bit of a habit during these opening throws, which are somewhat repetitive.
Who entered Bergen-Belsen days after it was liberated. Mervyn is 100 years old. I'm lucky to have met him twice, and I know that it took him many, many years before he felt he could even begin to tell his story. And we thank him for his service and the story that he has told us in respect to it.
Yeah. You can't deny this. I mean, 100 years old and having served in World War, you can't take that away from people. But he's referring to the guy who was saying that it wasn't worth it because of the state of the country right now. I do have to say, as much as I respect someone of that age, not just for getting to the 100, but also having served in the war, statistically speaking, there is a very good chance that they might have voted Tory at least once in the last 50 years. So, as for comments about the state of the country at the moment, I think you have to consider both of those things. But nonetheless, lest we forget, keep the peace, fight fascism.
As we mark Armistice Day, we give our eternal thanks to Mervyn and all those who served, and remember the extraordinary sacrifice of ordinary people who fought to defend our freedom. Mr. Speaker, the House will also want to join me in remembering Holocaust survivor Manfred Goldberg. He showed the most extraordinary courage to share his testimony, and in his memory, we must ensure that never again means never again. Mr. Speaker, I welcome...
So then, why were you so outraged over the banning of these fascist Maccabi Tel Aviv thugs that came over, Keith? Why are you mirroring Britain's most famous far-right fascist?
Welcome the news that SSE have announced that they will spend £33 billion on clean energy projects in this country. That's a major vote of confidence in the UK economy, happening because of our decisions to embrace the opportunities of clean power.
Is he including carbon capture in that? You have to be very careful with this sort of thing. The terminology, what they try and sneak under the rug, as it were. Any financial avenue towards carbon capture is dead money, and they're probably only doing it to funnel government money into the Friends private enterprises and shell companies and so on and so forth. But I'm very suspicious about the generalisation of the climate projects. You wouldn't put it past Starmer to try and put the non-technology that is carbon capture to include it in that.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Sausages.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about remembrance? I particularly remember in 1997 in West Africa, where I somehow managed to survive a bloody and violent attempted coup. So if the Prime Minister wants any advice...
Shame.
Ideas about how to do that, he only has to ask. The Prime Minister's questions last week was, Mr. Speaker, an absolute bin fire. So if the Prime Minister is indeed intent on promoting...
Honestly though, doesn't it really make you cringe when they have a bit of a laugh across the benches and, oh yeah, we're all obviously neo-libs in the same boat. If you take a few steps back and look at reality and the general picture, they're all on the right, so they have these, oh yeah, I couldn't share a joke with someone if I, hated their guts and absolutely detest everything about them and the politics or the personality or the choices that they've made. And, just on a really shitty one-liner. So forget about all of those things. Really irks me.
Being the United Kingdom on the world stage, please can he promise the House that he will never, ever, ever be away on a Wednesday ever again?
Well, it's always great to hear from the successor for Kwasi Kwarteng's constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm very proud to represent our country on the world stage last week in COP, before that in NATO, and it's because of...
Bag of shite.
Pull the other one.
He took a jet to Brazil. This isn't like, you know, fucking hell. It's a bit of a trek to Brazil, if you didn't know. From just what's the notes here? Just London. Fucking hell. He went there to get some pictures taken with Prince William, who also went there on the jet. And between them, they've done the square root of fuck all. They've announced that they're going to be doing the square root of fuck all. And aside from PR, photo ops, and empty platitudes, their attendance there was completely bogus. And no wonder there were dozens of protesters actually broke in to the conference today and staged a protest, didn't they? Domestic, I believe, staging a protest about the rainforest. So he's gone over there to do the bare minimum on a jet at our expense. If you want to know the CO2 output of a jet relative to a car, even a sort, you know, a proper thirsty guzzler, check that out for yourself, but it's stultifying. It's absolutely huge. Just no point to it whatsoever. Collection of pricks. That's your COP, people. Just reiterate, if they did work, you wouldn't need to have 30 of them and counting. Well, this is the one, and that however many there've been where they said we really, really, really need to do it this time and make strong commitments. And, you know, the urgency has never been clearer. The time to act is now. Well, I've got news for you people. The time to act is yesterday. Time's up. Please check out one of our recent uploads about that if you'd like to know a little bit more. But we are edging past the point of no return now. And there's no going back.
The reputation we've rebuilt over the last 15, 16 months, that other countries now want to do trade deals with us and want to place their orders with us.
Sally Jameson.
And the old rivals taking the lead.
Can I also associate myself with the remarks
Trade
of the Prime
deals.
Minister? The Prime Minister will be aware of the campaign run by the trustees of the British Coal Staff Superannuation Scheme, which is campaigning to return a £2.3 billion investment reserve back to its members, 700 of which are in Doncaster Central. The Labour government delivered on its manifesto pledge for the MPS scheme last year.
For an equaliser.
So will the Prime Minister also ensure that fairness and justice is delivered to the BCSSS members?
No, she said it twice now, Keith.
And will
Come
he
on.
meet with me and other Coalfield MPs to discuss further?
Yeah. Well, I know how committed she is to righting historic wrongs for our mining communities, and I can assure her so am I. She will know we've already transferred £1.5 billion that was wrongly kept from over 100,000 former mine workers. Ministers, as she knows, have met the BCSSS trustees on several occasions. The Industry Minister is meeting them later on today, and I'll make sure that she's updated in relation to that.
Can be made not the leader of the opposition.
So just crappy as it things generally, you know, even just at least in the spirit of the game, Keith, she mentioned deliver twice, clearly setting you up for an equaliser, and whereas you normally say it every other sentence, you didn't even give us one. Does he just suck at everything?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate my party with the Prime Minister's comments about Remembrance Week and also his comments on Manfred Goldberg and Mervyn Kirsch, who is in the gallery today? Mr. Speaker, this morning...
Any Russians up there if you're going on about the war? No? Any communists? Any communists? Kemi? Kemi's communist conundrum.
Morning on the BBC, the Health Secretary said there is a toxic culture in Downing Street that needs to change. He's right, isn't he?
Mr. Speaker, my focus each and every day is on rebuilding and renewing our...
Genuinely, the last time I heard that toxic culture thing in relation to number 10, it was about Johnson and Dominic Cummings and all of those other absolute pieces of human detritus. The same thing again. Tories in red rosettes. How many reminders do we need? How many classic mirrored examples are we going to see between this premiership and what preceded for a decade and a half before?
Country. But let me be absolutely clear. Any attack on any member of my cabinet is completely unacceptable. On the Health Secretary, Mr. Speaker, in relation to Health Secretary, he promised before the election that in the first year of a Labour government we'd deliver 2 million extra appointments. We didn't deliver 2 million, or 3 or 4. We delivered 5 million extra appointments. And today the Health Secretary is in Manchester where he's announcing that...
Well, after I said that about the last question, he's certainly made up for lost ground there. That was at least 3 there. From... doesn't fit on the fucking screen. 1 second. Philip, will you sort that out? There we go. Postman twat. What a run. 3 in a row there. Has he got any more? 3-1 now. What an incredible run into the lead.
Because of the action he's taken to abolish NHS England, he's putting more people on the front line. He's doing a great job, as is the whole of my cabinet.
Shut up, Wesley.
Mr. Speaker, what we heard the Health Secretary say this morning was that he wants to cut waiting lists, but we all know that there's only one waiting list that he really wants to cut. But the Prime Minister is not going to do anything about the toxic culture. This is his responsibility. Just last night, his allies accused not just the Health Secretary, but the Home Secretary and even the Energy Secretary of launching leadership bids. These attacks came from number 10, nowhere else, his toxic number 10. The person responsible for the culture in number 10 is his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. Does the Prime Minister have full confidence in him?
Morgan McSweeney, my team and I are absolutely focused on delivering...
It's that awful feeling when Kemi Badenoch actually manages to shoot a fish in a barrel, and yeah, you find yourself agreeing with her. Morgan McSweeney, his name should be coming up a lot more, certainly in the mainstream media, certainly in Parliament. This guy, who's largely unknown by the public, is the arbiter, the orchestrator of a lot of what's going on in the Labour Party, especially the coup against the left, especially the coup against the former leader of the opposition, who I'm sure I don't have to name. A real shithouse, if I can put it more succinctly or bluntly. But Morgan McSweeney, who is, of course, lobbied by the Zios, it goes without saying, but let's see what Keith's response is going to be before we get on to McSweeney a little bit further.
Delivering for the country. And let me be...
I think I paused it right on a deliver there. Just go back to answer. After Kemi Badenoch's question, Mr. Speaker.
The person responsible for the culture in number 10 is his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. does the Prime Minister have full confidence in him?
Morgan McSweeney, my team and I are absolutely focused on delivering for the country. And let me be clear, of course, Mr. Speaker, I've never authorised attacks on Cabinet members. I appointed them to their posts because they're the best people to carry out their jobs. Mr. Speaker, she asks about waiting lists. Waiting lists are down under this government.
I think the mic's back on now. Are we okay? Yeah, sorry about that, people. Yeah, I was just saying, considering he's had a reshuffle after 400 and something days and everybody's position changed apart from Lisa Nandy and Rachel Reeves, that's pretty rich to say that everybody who he put in their positions is doing a great job, or was doing a great job. What a load of crap.
Bag of shite.
The number of GPs is up, and because we've scrapped NHS England, we're investing on the front line. That's what the Health Secretary is doing today, getting on with his job, and he's doing a very good job too.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't hear him give full confidence to Morgan McSweeney, but the truth is, he says these attacks aren't authorised. That means he's lost control of number 10, because that's where they're coming from. But the real scandal, Mr. Speaker, the real scandal is that 2 weeks from a budget, the government has descended into civil war. Instead of fixing the mess they've made of the economy, they're all...
Come on, you're all... No, I'm not going to do a rant there.
Mr. Speaker, they're all chuntering. These are the feral MPs that number 10 has been talking about. They're not my words. They're number 10's words, his words. But unbelievably, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's advisers have been reduced to briefing that MPs can't get rid of him, and I'm not making this up, they can't get rid of him because it would destabilise international markets. Why does the Prime Minister think that there would be a market meltdown if the Health Secretary took over?
Mr. Speaker, this is a united team and we are delivering together. Look what we're doing.
The overreach is unbelievable, isn't it? It's he who protesteth too much, I think, Keith. The louder he screams, there's no leadership challenge, and the louder Wes Streeting screams it as well. Liars both. So the more they say it, the less I believe it, and that makes it 5-1 now. Just quickly while I've paused. Concerning the challenge against Starmer, 33% think that will come from Streeting, 52% now. That gap increasing, think it'll be some other ghoul. Perhaps one of the people also in the shot on this screen. Who knows? And 15% of you are absolutely insane. You don't think that there'll be a leadership challenge before the next general election.
The fastest growth of the G7. 5 interest rate cuts. Trade deals with the EU, the US and India, all of which they oppose. We've delivered. And I can update the House.
If people want to audition for a pantomime, I suggest you go to the Old Vic.
Pantomime. Mr. Speaker, I can update the House. The Bank of England has upgraded growth today. We've secured £230 billion of private investment.
High scoring event, this one.
This morning, I thought she might welcome it. The SSE have announced £33 billion of investment in clean power. That's what this team are delivering for the country, fixing the mess that they left.
7-3.
Mr. Speaker, he's talking about growth and investment. While the Prime Minister desperately tries to cling on to his own job, perhaps he understands what it's like for all those people out there losing their jobs. How can he talk about growth? Yesterday, we learned that unemployment has risen to the same rate as it was in lockdown. 180,000 jobs lost, Mr. Speaker. Why does the...
I'm going to talk about lost jobs, especially pertaining to Wesley Streeting, after PMQs as well. Something not even I can believe happened earlier on in an interview on, the Radio 4's Today programme.
Prime Minister think that unemployment has risen every single month since Labour took office?
Mr. Speaker, let me give the House the details. 329,000 people more are in work since the start of this year. So 329,000 more are in work. Of course I accept we need to do more in relation to unemployment. That's why we're transforming job centres, which they opposed. That's why we're working with 60 major businesses to tackle ill health in the workplace.
Always be wary of transform and reform and words like that.
Work support, which they oppose. I would also remind the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker, that the average unemployment in the 14 years of her government was 5.4%, higher than the rate today.
Yeah, speaking of high rates, quite correct there, Flo. This is a very high-scoring game, 7-3 so far. We'll see if I can keep up. But this is more like it.
Mr. Speaker, we left employment higher than it was after the last Labour government. And let me tell him now, what is causing it is his disastrous budget last year. That is what has caused the increase in unemployment. And so, to be clear, for all those Labour MPs shaking their heads, it's last year's tax rises that have killed jobs, and that's what's going to trigger this year's tax rises. This is the tax doom loop, and there is only one way out of it, and that is to cut spending. So why is the Prime Minister...
There's another option, Kemi. There's another option. You know what it is. You know it's 3 words. The middle one is the. The first one is very easy. It's tax. And the final one is a word that you might find on top of a particular type of biscuit.
Instead offering welfare giveaways to save his own skin.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'll tell the Opposition why we increased national insurance. It's because of the mess that they left the country in. The NHS on its knees. Now we've got 5 million extra appointments, waiting lists down, and 2,500 more GPs as a result of our decisions. But it's nearly the 1-year anniversary, but she still hasn't told us in relation to national insurance whether she agrees and admits that we should do it, or if if that's her position, how she would find the money that we raised in the budget. She's had a whole year to think about...
Essentially, people, this is what we've been reduced to, whilst the opposition and the government alike reject the notion of taxing the rich, which is the answer to that poser I set you before. No, it wasn't, I don't know, tax the digestive, whatever. But you get this back and forth now, whilst they argue over which bits of low earners' wages, I should say, get taxed, which services get cut. And that's all it is, whilst the obvious remedy to austerity, to the state of the country, even from a capitalist point economically, is to tax the rich. Because essentially capitalism is eating itself and taking the whole world down with it, and it can't have exponential growth if it runs out of people to exploit, as we enter this surreal hyper-capitalist doom phase that we're getting into in the 21st century. Unless we, the people, choose to stop it, that is. So yeah, that is one thing that frustrates me the most about PMQs. Other than a question which you might get from the other small areas of the opposite benches, the Greens, the SNP, soon your party perhaps, but don't forget, they already have presence in the House of Commons with independent candidates. So you might hear them mention it, but there'll never be a dispatch box argument about taxing the rich or not with these two in charge. That's for sure. Or any other from the parties in their current state, that is.
That question, perhaps now she can give us an answer.
Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't have made the stupid mistake in the first place of putting up the jobs tax and killing jobs. Since they came in, it's been disaster after disaster. The Deputy Prime Minister, the new Deputy Prime Minister, is clueless about how many illegal migrant sex offenders he's let loose. The Culture Secretary, breaking the rules.
Tax the jammy dodgers. I like that one. Nice one, Flo. Mansion tax. Well, a Lib Dem 2010 policy. If we want to think about the Lib Dems in 2010. Just let me get that door for you there, Mr. Cameron. Oh, thank you, Cleggy. Now, clean my boots. Oh, yes, Mr. Cameron. That's how I picture it, at least.
To give her donor a top job. Tax.
Good idea about the policy, though, Katie, should say.
Set to rise even further. Unemployment at levels not seen since lockdown. And in the middle of it, a weak Prime Minister at war with his own cabinet. Mr. Speaker, it's not just him, it is all of them. There is no replacement, it is all of them. 2 weeks before the budget, isn't it the case that this Prime Minister has lost control of his government, he's lost the confidence of his party, and lost the trust of the British people?
Mr. Speaker, the stupid...
Even she can't miss. She's dunking on Starmer, albeit there's a 9-foot ladder in front of the goal, but there you go.
Mistakes were made over 14 long years. They
the nets,
broke
I should
the
say.
economy, and now they think that they can lecture us. And now they've got this unserious idea that they can find £47 billion of cuts without saying where they're going to come from. No wonder that's called flimsy. Meanwhile, we're rebuilding the country. Wages up, investment up, mortgages down.
Order. Mr. Phil.
Anyone's mortgages going up? Mortgages going down. Anyone's pay going up? What have been the very small increments of minimum wage rise, for example, since Keir Starmer came in? This is the same guy who, what would it be, about 10 years ago now? No, not that long. Say 7 or 8 years ago, was advocating for fast food workers to have £15 an hour. Now he doesn't even want to back that when you take inflation into account as well. So wages aren't up. Perhaps, yes, in the top earners, in that top 1%, especially in the top fractions of the 1%. And remember, when you look at statistics like that, when there's a massive wealth gap, when these people have obviously multiple millions and then into the billions, multiple billions, that pulls the median figure as well as the average really heavily. So you can say, oh, look, they're going up. And it's not, it's just because of the massive pull from the extra billions. And now some say trillions, but I don't think that's going to happen where Musk's concerned. But you see what I'm getting at. Wages are not going up. Anyone's mortgages going down. I don't buy that.
Pull the other one.
You were meant to be a senior person on this front bench. You're meant to set an example. It's certainly a bad one today. Sir Joseph.
Mr. Speaker.
I might have missed what all that was about. Let's have another look. He was quite irate though, wasn't he? And I'm not sure whose name he was announcing there at the end. But I'm not even joking at this point. Is he always absolutely pissed out of his tree? That is, pissed in the English sense, meaning drunk. Lindsay Hoyle at these things, because, you know, considering it's his job to speak, and however many times I have to say it, he does sound like he's eating a large piece of fruits while he speaks, or he's got a flannel in his mouth, a wet flannel in his mouth, or whatever. But as a speaker, he's absolutely terrible. What's all this about, though?
Meanwhile, we're rebuilding the country. Wages up, investment up, mortgages down.
Order. Mr. Phil.
Mr. Phil? Is that... Not you.
You were meant to be a senior person on this front bench. You're meant to set an example. It's certainly a bad one today. Joseph.
Who the fuck is Joseph? Kaiser Soze?
Order. Mr. Phil.
So, right. I don't normally ask for spoilers with this being a first-time view for myself, but if anybody knows what all that was about, if it's come to light, please do let us know in the chat. But Mr. Phil, who's Mr. Phil? And who's Kaiser Soze? Kaiser fucking Soze!
You were meant to be a senior person on this front bench. You're meant to set an example. It's certainly a bad one today.
Oh, it's certainly a bad one. You see, he's from Lancashire, which is, you know, the next county to Greater Manchester here. I have a particularly good ear for accents, I'd like to think, as well. Even I struggle with this. And I'll be perfectly honest, I've held conversations with people who've had multiple strokes. But listening to this guy really, really is a challenge.
Be a senior person on this front bench.
I'm not being ableist there, but I mean that literally. Sorry.
You're meant to set an example. It's certainly a bad one today. Joseph.
Oh, God. It's just terrible. George, whoever that is, if you know who that is, send your answers in to Lindsay Hoyle at House of Commons, Parliament Square, London.
Mr. Speaker, despite extra government funding, adult social care services in my community are in disarray. My constituents are also facing a new fire risk because we don't have a fully functioning fire authority. This has all been caused by the dysfunction at Kent County Council because so many reform councillors have been suspended for bad behaviour. So does the Prime Minister share my concern that reform chaos is a risk to public safety?
Well, my sympathy is with the people of Kent whose lives are being disrupted by the staggering incompetence of reform. Mr. Speaker, Kent County Council was supposed to be the blueprint for what reform would deliver across the country. Now we can see what that means. Cutting local services, raising council tax, failing to protect the public. That's all reform have to offer. Grievance, division and total incompetence.
The party that you're copying, and obviously the things you just mentioned also apply to the Labour Party. Get real, Keith.
Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the earlier remarks of the Prime Minister and say what a great honour it was to join the royal family at the Cenotaph on Remembrance Sunday to pay our respects to all those heroes who gave their lives for our country.
Stu. I like the name adjustment there. Very good. Solidari-Tea. Stu TKH.
Must never forget the sacrifice they made for our freedoms. A great British institution is under attack from a foreign government. President Trump is trying to destroy our BBC, not because he cares about the truth, but because he doesn't want to get away with his lies. Trump has undermined press.
And it's something to talk about that isn't the Epstein files, which everybody should still be talking about.
Freedom in America. Now he's trying to do the same here, disgracefully egged on by the leader of reform. So will the Prime Minister tell President Trump to drop his demand for $1 billion settlement from the BBC.
It's not a demand. He's demanded an apology and a retraction. He's not going to get the billion. If he thought he was in with a chance, he'd have launched the suit already. Yeah, he got some millions from other... what's the word I'm looking for? Other companies. In the States, for example, Paramount Comedy. This was a brilliant move, actually, by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They actually signed a $1 billion deal with... was it Paramount or Comedy? I think it was Paramount, not Comedy. They moved from Comedy Central to Paramount. Is that right? But that's not the point. Then after that, the last season depicted Donald Trump in... well, it's South Park, let's put it that way. So then he sued them. He actually successfully sued Paramount for several millions of dollars for one episode. But $1 billion from the BBC, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. No chance. If he thought he had a chance, he would have sued. He just, again, wants to look like he's won. But I do agree with the point that this is a move against the BBC to get rid of the state broadcast. It certainly needs improvement, but it needs preserving.
And will he guarantee that President Trump will not get a single penny from British licence fee payers?
Let me be clear. I believe in a strong and independent BBC. Some would rather the BBC didn't exist. Some of them are sitting up there. I'm not one of them. In an age of disinformation, the argument for impartial British news service is stronger than ever. And where mistakes are made, they do...
Impartial news service. When I said it needs improvement, that's probably my biggest criticism. Is the news service. Well, it does some other excellent things. I could buy it. Well, we went through all that. Well, some of it yesterday. It'd take hours to go through it all.
Pull the other one.
Do need to get their house in order, and the BBC must uphold the highest standards, be accountable and correct errors quickly. But I will always stand up for a strong, independent BBC.
Say it, Davey.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is right that the BBC's independence and impartiality are absolutely crucial. That's why we must stop President Trump from undermining them. But President Trump's not the only one, Mr. Speaker. The last government spent years undermining the BBC's independence and impartiality. They put two Conservative cronies...
Well, yeah. Let's use political examples. Obviously, Question Time. Normally hosted by Fiona Brews, whose husband donated some £40,000 to the Conservative Party. She's also clearly a Tory herself in the way that they host the show. Also, the lack of left representation on the panels. The same applies to other mainstream political shows. Do not get me started on Laura Kussenberg, for example, as another one. Try and think of the most socialist BBC politics presenter that you can. You've got to be frank, it's slim pickings if there are any at all.
On the BBC board. One has had to resign, the other's still there, but he's been repeatedly accused of interfering in editorial decisions and staff appointments. Robbie Gibbs should have no role in appointing the next Director General, and given the Royal Charter gives the government the power to remove him, will the Prime Minister sack him now?
Mr. Speaker, I certainly agree with the comment that the last government undermined the work of the BBC. They undermined pretty well everything they did in 14 years. Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to go into the individual runnings of the BBC. I am a strong supporter of the BBC in the terms I've already set out.
Don't puffy.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, this is Care Leavers Month, when we remember the resilience and the brilliance of our young people who have grown up in care. And I was delighted to welcome a group of Southampton's care leavers to share their views with the Minister recently. But while this Labour government is taking real action to support care leavers, a Reform councillor has disgracefully described children in care as downright evil. Will the Prime Minister... He said it. Will the Prime Minister, and I hope the whole House, join me in condemning Reform's vile rhetoric, and will he reassure us that this Labour government will continue to support the protections and opportunities for all our care leavers?
Well, Mr. Speaker, November marks the first ever Care Leavers Month, and that is a time to recognise that every child deserves support to achieve their potential. And through our landmark Children's Wellbeing Bill, we're requiring every local authority to help care leavers find secure accommodation. It saddens me that the parties opposite voted against it. The comment...
Look at Rachel Reeves. She just...
This month, and
she just looks like she can't go on any further.
That is a time to recognise that every child deserves support to achieve their potential. And through our landmark Children's Wellbeing Bill, we're requiring every local authority to help care leavers find secure accommodation. It saddens me that the parties opposite voted against it. The comments about children in care being evil are utterly appalling. And now the member for Clacton has heard them. I'm sure he'll want to condemn them right now.
Nigel Farage.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, I've only got 30 seconds.
Get it over with,
The
you
Prime
prick.
Minister. The Prime Minister has
Where's your fucking poppy? It's the fucking day after Armistice Day, you bastard shithouse.
stated very clearly that he wants to close the migrant hotels by the end of this Parliament. Well, the Reform-led West Northamptonshire Council, brilliantly led council, will be issuing foreclosure notices on 3 migrant hotels within the next few days in...
Change the record, Nigel. Change the record. That bit doesn't wash. Well, it does with some. But look who you're talking about.
Response to grave public concern about the safety of women and girls.
This one immigrant, you know, always picking on the outliers, these few examples, and now recently, obviously, harping on about early releases. One of them, the story ran for longer than the amount of time that they were released early. One of them, it was a matter of days. And you'd think that it was sort of years to go on the sentence, and somehow through these administrative errors, whatever, it did. But in some cases it was just days. And again, we're talking about outlying cases. Statistically, it's white people at home domestically who are most likely to commit the offences while you're doing your finger wagging and you're pointing from the coast. Snake oil for sale. Snake oil for sale.
On the streets of West Northamptonshire, would the Prime Minister approve of us speeding up the closure of the migrant hotels?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, we will grip the mesh we inherited and close every hotel. At their peak, under the previous government, there were 400 hotels. Now there are only 200 remaining. But he says he doesn't have time to condemn the comments calling children in care evil.
Like oh God, I'm not pausing it there with that.
He's also not had the time, it appears, to condemn the racist comment.
Before Keith goes on, there's no magic number of hotels. It could be 0. it could be zero. And the nation's problems will still be what they are. Stutique, thank you very much for that. Is that a super sticker or a super chat? Whichever one it is, we're going to big it up, people. I'll just show that some appreciation myself. Thank you very much indeed. So what was I saying there? It doesn't matter, we'll carry on. Thanks again, Stu. That's what matters. Stu's awesome.
Of his own MP. Utterly spineless.
Jeff Smith. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week I visited the new diagnostic centre at Withington Community Hospital, and as well as the 85...
Withington? Oh, yeah, I know this guy. Withington's in Manchester, by the way.
5,000 new appointments it's going to create. I was really pleased to see the new solar panels and heat pumps being designed into the building.
Not far from where this stream is coming to you from this evening.
So, in the week of COP, and can I thank the Prime Minister for his climate leadership and attending COP, in the week of COP, what more can we do to ensure that new public buildings have green energy designed into them?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I was very proud.
You could cover every building in every city in the country with plants and all this. It's, you know, again, they don't address the elephant in the room. I'm very proud to have been part of Just Stop Oil's campaign, and a campaign that kept around 4.5 billion barrels of oil in the ground by the cessation of new licences, but they're still trying to squeeze what they can out of the older licences, and with the accountancy scam and these carbon credit swaps that are coming in under the radar with net zero, we could still see the country digging up fossil fuels, but the onus being on other countries that we sell them to. That's the way this carbon credit system is going to work out. But my point is, they're ignoring the real solutions, which is further investment in renewables, way beyond the scale that Starmer and Miliband are looking at. And again, this needs to happen yesterday. This should have happened years ago, nay, decades. So these small crumbs that Starmer's throwing on the table, carbon capture technology, just doesn't cut it. What's he going to offer us this time? And what on earth is David Lammy doing in that position? Caption this freeze frame, people. Katie Marshall, Nigel is a bell end. Happy to read out that super chat. Thank you very much, Katie. Show that some appreciation. Big up, big up. Stu and Katie in the chat, please, everybody.
I had to attend COP last week, and the UK is leading on tackling climate change, delivering energy security and getting bills down and generating hundreds of jobs across the country. We're investing over £250 million to put rooftop solar on schools, hospital and military sites across the country, and that will deliver £400 million of savings to renew our public services.
Angus MacDonald.
Prime Minister, successive governments impose massive environmental tariffs on
9-3.
customers using UK-produced renewable electricity, but far less on imported carbon fuel mains gas. This is the main reason...
Oh, fuck you, gas. What? The only gas is coming out of your mouth. You really endorsing gas? You know, the people who harp on about nuclear are bad enough. What about something that won't come online for 20 years as a solution to today's energy crisis, let alone electricity, utility bills? Gas? Fuck that.
And why those not on the gas grid, i.e. those living in rural Britain, pay a great deal more to heat their properties. Yes, renewable projects are important, but the huge environmental tariffs on our electricity bills are not fair. Would the Prime Minister acknowledge this injustice and commit his government to addressing this? Thank you.
To taxi outside for 1947. Anyone here from 1940s? Yeah, that tank top. Under the suit. there. Gas? Well, I don't know. Someone's had a word with him, haven't they? Can we get a question in about gas? Don't tell anybody that we've asked you to ask the question.
Yeah. Can I absolutely recognise the need to address the imbalance between
Red F, good to see you.
Electricity and gas prices? We are exploring options to create a fairer system. And I'm happy for ministers to keep him updated on what we're looking at.
What's that
It's thanks to those levies and Labour's expansion of the warm homes discount that 6 million families will be getting £150 off their energy bills this winter. And I know that he will welcome the £33 billion in investment from SSE, helping connect clean energy to areas across Scotland where it's most needed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prior to the general election, the Health Secretary visited Amber Valley and declared it an NHS dentistry desert.
The investment has to be in the hundreds. I mean, look at what they piss away on things like HS2, for example, for God's sake, and this is far more fundamentally important. 33 million. And it is cheap to set up. I should highlight that, but even 33 billion is still way below the bar.
Since then, I've secured £240,000 of additional funding, encouraged my constituents to access the 16,300 emergency appointments in Derbyshire, and last week secured thousands of extra UDAs. But there is more to do. So can the Prime Minister update me on the progress of the contract negotiations with the BDA and the timescale that the department is working to?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm appalled that we inherited such a situation where tooth decay is the most common reason where children between 5 and 9 are admitted to hospital. Every children's hospital under their watch, going in 5 to 9. I was very shocked when I heard this the first time at Alderhay Hospital up in the northwest, that more children being admitted to have their teeth taken out because they're rotting between the ages of 5 to 9 than any other operation. That was their record. They should just be ashamed of it. Ashamed of it. It's why I'm determined to rebuild NHS dentistry. I can confirm that discussions are underway with the sector.
You've had a year and a half, Keith. You better get your frigging socks on.
Including the British Dental Association, on fundamental reform to the dental contract to get...
Of course, there's going to be no cutaway two-streeting because he was out doing the media rounds earlier on. I'm going to be referring to that a little bit after PMQs.
Her constituents the care that they need and that they deserve.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Jehoot's pharmacy has been responsible for repeated closures, leaving staff unpaid and residents without access to vital medicine. Unfit pharmacy owners like Sargit Jehooti, who has severely neglected patients and staff in West Dorset and across England, should not be running our care system. Will the Prime Minister make time in the parliamentary schedule for emergency legislation to give the government and the regulators powers to pay staff, tackle improper pharmacy owners and directors, and make sure scandals like this can never happen again?
Can I thank him for raising this really serious issue, which has been raised by others across these benches on previous occasions, and it is a very serious issue. It is simply not right that customers and staff have been so badly let down. The Care Minister has convened representatives from across the industry to resolve the situation as quickly as possible, and I want to reassure him that we're working speedily to consider how to strengthen regulation of these pharmacies, and I'll update the House as soon as I can.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During the assisted dying debates, I and many others highlighted the importance of palliative care provided by hospices, but this vital work has been left reliant on donations and charity for far too long, and Garden House Hospice in Letchworth is now facing a serious funding gap. I welcome government investment in hospices, but will the Prime Minister consider broader reform to put hospice funding on a sustainable footing, and can he ensure ministers meet with me to explore every option to keep Garden House Hospice open?
I'm pleased to tell him that £100 million has now been passed to Hospice UK. So places like Garden House in his constituency can create the best environment to deliver care. That's backed, Mr Speaker, by £26 million investment for children and young people's hospices. We're also investing over £3 million in research in palliative and end-of-life care through the National Institute for Health and Care Research. We're working on further proposals to improve the access, quality and sustainability of care, and I'll make sure that ministers keep him updated.
Rebecca Paul.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I would like to ask the Prime Minister for his help. It's been over 6 months since the Supreme Court ruling on the meaning of sex, yet public institutions are still knowingly and intentionally breaching the law. HMP Downview, a women's prison in Banstead, has 5 biological males in it. And if that wasn't bad enough, those males are mixing with the women in the daytime without adequate supervision. Will the Prime Minister ensure biological males...
Are they not adults? Are there no other adults that piss and shit?
...are moved out of women's prisons immediately?
The Supreme Court ruling must be implemented in full and at all levels. She's absolutely right about that. I will. She's raised these examples with me. I will.
Fucking Graham Lynham question from Graham Lynham there. This whole gender debate. It's obviously very niche. The way that people harp on that it's the very core of society and all of the problems therein. It's ridiculous. So yeah, who cares what pronouns people use or whatever? They use these ridiculous examples. Sports comes up as well, but they can't even get the facts straight. They don't know the difference between a cis person, a transvestite, a transsexual, or anything else. It's just bigotry, really.
Make sure they're looked into and make sure she gets a proper reply in relation to the particular examples.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. With miles of golden sand and a bucket full of memories, Rill has been attracting visitors for generations. After millions of pounds of Welsh Government investment and a £20 million UK Government Neighbourhood Fund, Rill is on the up. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that only with 2 Labour governments working together can we restore pride in our Welsh seaside towns?
Please stop voting for Plaid Cymru. Please.
Join me for a stroll on our new...
The question should be, do you agree that we took an absolute battering there? And more to come in Wales, I expect.
New promenade to see just what Rill has to offer.
Well, that's a very appealing invitation just at the moment. Mr Speaker, I'm proud to be putting power
it's one of those questions. Will the Prime Minister come and visit our such and such? And you'll get all sorts of things that'll be, you know, this very obscure cheese outlet in the middle of fucking God knows where, you know, the Cotswolds or something like that, or the Mendips, you know, and or come to this whatever it is, family day event that's going on where they do some ridiculous, oh, aren't we so British, sort of thing. Yeah, one of those questions.
Directly back in the hands of local people in communities like Rill. That £20 million can be used for issues that matter most to them, include revitalising their high street, a cause that I know is crucial to many residents, including hers. Just 1 in 14 communities across Wales is benefiting from the Pride in Place funding. This is the renewal you get with a Labour government working with a Labour government in Cardiff.
Max Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Maternity services are a vital part of women's healthcare, but sadly too many women are being failed. At Cheltenham General Hospital, the Yvette birth centre was temporarily closed for labour.
Docs in the Mendips. Awesome stuff. Forgot to say, and I should probably say this more often, do give us a shout out if your MP stands up to ask a question of Keir Starmer. Shout out to Doc in the Mendips there.
And births back in 2022. Last week we learned that there will be no decision about a potential plan for reopening it until spring next year. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that 4 years is far too long to ask local mums-to-be to wait? And can he give me reassurance that a temporary downgrade that was made under the Conservatives will not become permanent under his government?
Can I tell him that our starting point is that we must always make sure that every mother is heard, understood and gets the quality of care that is needed. The Independent National Maternity Investigation and Local Health Needs Assessment are due to report in spring of next year, as he says. It's right that the recommendations of both of them are closely considered in any decision for Cheltenham, and I'll make sure that he's kept updated as that rolls out.
Jim Dixon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I say that I've long thought that both you and the Prime Minister would suit a magnificent moustache, and I'm sure you'd be capable of growing a better one than this. Many of us men in this house...
Constituents must be so proud to see you stand up and whatever you're going to ask here, their concerns. Yeah, so then he got up and he asked about moustaches. Moustaches? Yes, moustaches.
House and outside are growing our tash out this month to highlight the need for our health system and men ourselves to address preventable and...
Anyone who doesn't know Movember's a thing. For growing moustaches, getting sponsored for charity in November.
Treatable conditions to which all men are vulnerable, including prostate cancer, testicular cancer and mental health conditions such as depression. Does the Prime Minister agree that the forthcoming first ever men's health strategy, soon to be published, must lead to a major step change in the way our country helps men stay well?
Well, as he knows, my number one priority is growth. So
what if you already... Oh, God. Just... What can Starmer say about growth? My number one priority is growth. Yeah, I was going to ask, if you already have a moustache, just a moustache, and you want to participate, what happens then? Do you shave it off? Do you grow everything apart from the moustache? One of those sort of country look, as it were. But how does that work? If you want to participate, but you already have a moustache, which are quite popular at the moment.
Very glad to see his upper lip. He's obviously championing this himself. And can I send my best wishes to everyone growing a moustache this Movember? It is right, Mr. Speaker, to highlight that men are hit harder by a range of conditions, including cancer, cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. And that's why our men's health strategy will set out actions to improve the health of all men in England.
Rupert Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every week we hear of a brutal murder, rape or stabbing, far too often perpetrated by someone who should not be in our country to begin with. Does the Prime Minister agree that for cases where the guilt is so undeniable, the crime so monstrous, the evil so irredeemable, the reintroduction of the death penalty for both foreign and domestic criminals should be put to the British people in a legally binding referendum?
Okay, Grandad, it's time to go to bed now. Fuck me, running. The death penalty. This gets... Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, I know that I think Farage has said that he's in favour of it as well. But no. It is a sociological fact that it does not function as a deterrent, as a form of punishment. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So, and, okay. He summarised the question with, should we just bring back the death penalty for stabbings? Which was his general point. But then, why the sort of mini-introduction regarding whether it's refugees, migrants, whichever he means by people who should not be here, or he thinks shouldn't be here. I'll just go back a few seconds. And really, the death penalty? get a calendar. In fact, no, that won't even suffice, because you not only don't even know what decade you're in, you don't know what fucking millennium you're in. So yeah, have you had your tablets? Got the Horlicks here now. Time for bed, Grandad. Fucking hell.
And domestic criminals should be put to...
That is the tablets that stop him being a raving lunatic.
British people in a legally binding referendum.
A referendum. He wants to have a referendum. There's so much happening out there, dude, that I don't think that's getting bogged down in a referendum over that. I don't think is going to be particularly functional either. They just want to make a fuss over a non-issue, as always. That's ridiculous. That's beyond ridiculous. It's very beyond ridiculous.
Bag of shite.
100%, 1000% nuts.
Can I first say that any attack is to be condemned, and it is absolutely right, and we're determined that there is a criminal justice response in relation to attack, however it's carried out and whoever it's carried out by. But reintroducing the death penalty is not the answer to this.
Oh God, I agree with Keith. That's a former director of public prosecutions.
It didn't work when it was in place. It led to the death of those that in fact were turned out were innocent. But what we must do is improve, as we are, the criminal justice response in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to pay tribute to a new veterans group in Stevenage called the Muster Point, founded by Stuart Mendelsohn and Steve Black. Last week, I joined them at a continuous 72-hour vigil at Stevenage War Memorial, where veterans shared stories of family and friends lost in war. But veterans deserve more than just our tributes. So will the Prime Minister commit to working with veterans in Stevenage and across the UK in delivering this government's new veteran strategy in full?
One of the greatest honours in this role is meeting and thanking our armed forces for their service, which obviously we've been able to do during the course of this weekend and this week. Our ambition is to bring the Armed Forces Covenant fully into law in the next Armed Forces Bill, and we will do so. We're also renewing the contract with those who serve through our veterans strategy.
We're all in on the industrial military complex, pretty much, at this point, people. Around 2-3% raising defence spending, of GDP, that is. And looking towards 5% as we get into the 2030s. That's a lot of money that could be put to better use. And if that's being matched by Europe and the States, this heightened sense of war isn't advisable.
Including Homes for Heroes, a new network of support centres connecting charities and services with veterans, and Labour Patriots stand with all those who serve and have served our country.
Stuart Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on that point, with the upcoming vote on the Northern Ireland Troubles Bill, 9 of the most respected and experienced generals of a generation have publicly attacked the government's approach on lawfare against our armed forces.
How many? 9?
Bill, 9 of the most respected and experienced generals of a generation have publicly attacked the government's approach on lawfare against our armed forces. They have said it will erode trust in the justice system and it is a threat to national security. As a veteran who served in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, does the Prime Minister think they're all wrong? And when is he actually going to start standing up for our veterans?
Name them. Name them. Because I don't think there are even 9. What would it be, 4-star generals currently serving at the moment. If you know better, do let me know in the chat. That is in the British Armed Forces. 9. Don't know about that.
Can I begin by thanking him for his service to our country? And when former service chiefs raise an issue, we will, of course, engage with them. Of course, I respect their service and their views, and will do so. We are having to get rid of unlawful legislation and putting in place a system with clear rights and protections for veterans, and we'll continue to try to get that balance right.
For that, Anderson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. 4 years ago, I brought in a private member.
I think that's a very poor response, and we have to take responsibility for what happened back then. Obviously, retroactive. These are incidents that happened during the 1970s, the height of the Civil War in Ireland, not aka the Troubles. When you boil it down into sociological terms, that really is what it was prior to the Good Friday Agreement. But our armed forces did break the law. They stepped outside the law, and they should have their day in court. That's something that I firmly believe in, is responsibility. If we are going to have the reputation that we say that we have, and that our armed forces say that they have, accountability has to be absolutely paramount. And the families of those victims have been waiting a long time for justice. As I said, we talk about 50 years ago. So that's something that can't just be swept under the rug historically.
Has built ban the sale of wet wipes with plastic in. The last government dragged its feet. These wet wipes cause fatbergs in our sewers and millions of pounds on our water bills for all of our constituents, and pollute rivers and seas. This government promised to bring in this ban and is doing so now. Will the Prime Minister join with me on celebrating a Labour promise delivered, and share the message that we should always bin wet wipes and other wipes, not flush them?
Well, can I commend her? She's been a long-standing campaigner on this important issue, and the public is right to be furious about how the last government allowed sewage to pour into our lakes, rivers and seas. Alongside tough new powers to combat pollution, this ban will put an end to plastic wet wipes that litter our beaches, clog up our sewers and harm wildlife.
David Chadwick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lloyds Bank have over 31,000 customers in my constituency, and yet many of those customers, particularly the elderly and the vulnerable, are struggling to get out their own cash. That's because Lloyds have closed their branches in Brecon, in Prestine, in Ustragunlice, and before the end of this month, in Pontedower. That's despite making billions in profits and paying their CEO £5 million. Will the Prime Minister write to Lloyds Bank and ask them to keep that last branch in Pontedower open?
Well, I'm grateful to him for raising that, and I'll look at the particular example that he's raised. As he will know, we're rolling out hubs, some of them already in place, and more.
Don't like rolling out either. Yeah, good point there, Davinia. I think it's pretty much just common sense that you don't put something like that in a toilet, you bin it. But let's be honest, people, we live in a society where if you purchase a packet of peanuts, it will have a warning on it that it might contain nuts.
To come, and I'll happily update him on where they're likely to be.
Final question, Richard Quidley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Following the work of our APPG for eating disorders, I was horrified to hear that 19-year-old Lily Cliff, who suffers from anorexia, has been placed on an end-of-life care pathway after...
Are you kidding me? It's fucking fight. There's fireworks. There are fireworks going off here, people. Oh, not too far away. It's got to be that. I mean, it's a gloomy evening. If you want to see a live cam of the Aurora Borealis, which is going to be visible in the north of the UK this evening, apparently, with a solar projection. But it's all grey at the moment, so if you can just imagine a grey square, that's what the live stream would look like. But what, I mean, whatever occasion they're marking 12th of November, you know, almost 10 to midnight, whatever it is, Manchester, oh, we've got some left, we might as well use them up.
Rotherham, Doncaster and South Humber NHS Foundation Trust obtained a Court of Protection ruling to withdraw her treatment. This decision directly contradicts NICE guidelines and the Minister for Care's own statement in September that eating disorders are not a terminal illness. Will the Prime Minister urgently review this case to ensure that Lily and her family receive the support they need and that Lily is given every possible chance to recover and live, and remind all ICBs, NHS and hospitals that suffering from an eating disorder is not a terminal illness?
Well, first, my thoughts are with Lily and her family, and the details he raises are really deeply concerning.
A lot of NHS questions coming up this evening. So let's see. Suggested that there's a coup by the current Secretary of State for Health against the Prime Minister. And now a lot of questions about the NHS coming up. Both of them very vehemently deny that there's any sort of coup going on, which should tell you all you need to know, because they're not very good actors. And it's not a great script that's written for them either, you've got to be honest. I don't think it's a coincidence that so many NHS questions have come up because of that.
I know he's raised this with health ministers, and I'll make sure he gets a swift response. He is a powerful advocate for change, and I share his determination that everyone with an eating...
Yes, there are some pigeons in the rafters at the house. Could you hear what they're saying? Coo! Coo!
...disorder gets the care and the support that they need.
Let the front benches change over.
That is your lot, people. Well, 10-3, 10-figure hitting Postman Twat with 10 mentions of Deliver, a clear winner there, and that will put him top of the league after just 2 games. An incredible return and an incredible match against the former adversary, Deal. So Deal had the chance once again. Not bad, 3, but pretty much a rout for Postman Twat.
Oh no!
So with 6 points, and that will make it 15 mentions. Postman Twat will displace Budget from the top of the table the next time we see it. I can't edit that in real time on a stream, but there you go, that was a great game. It's always a lot better when it's high scoring. Let me know what you thought about that PMQ session. And let us know in the comments as well if you're watching back later on. Please make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream. I'll very briskly go through a couple of other stories now. That was an extended PMQs as well. So, as I just said, we're coming up towards midnight now. So off the back of PMQs, let's just talk a little bit more about this alleged coup from West Streeting. I was going to play a bit of a clip from the Today programme, but I have to make this pretty short, so I'll just try and summarise it as best as I can. He was on there, essentially gloating that there are going to be 18,000 redundancies in the NHS because that's going to save £1 billion. And from the get-go on this interview on Radio 4, like I said, I only heard a very small amount of it, a sort of clip of it, but fortunately it wasn't Nick Robinson interviewing this time. And he was pleased as punch, was Wesley. Oh yeah, it's so great to be on here and have something great to talk about for a change. You're right, it's me with Streeting. £1 billion. Cuts of 18,000 people. That's 18,000 families potentially affected by that. And I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. But you could tell, like I said, they're not great actors. It's not a great script. Just by he hammed it up so much. What are you talking about? There's no coup. What are you like? And yeah, he's like, no, I'm fully support Star and I'm Labour to the core and all of this. And just the more they say it, the more you know that it's the opposite. Yeah, so I was going to play a little bit of that. Could perhaps do it on another stream, but not this evening. Bit short on time. So, if you heard that full interview, let me know what you thought about it. Like I said, I only heard a snippet. But we'll just jump over stateside now. That'll pretty much round up UK news. There's just been one main story from the States that's been in most of the mainstream media today. I'll throw in my 2 cents on it as well. Obviously, Donald Trump. New allegations, new emails. This concerns the Epstein files. It won't go away. However much Trump doesn't like that. Just that there. What's this? There's been some sort of information document dump by the Democrats again, who have apparently leaked emails, and these emails between Epstein and Trump himself strongly suggest, let's be honest, reveal, allegedly, I have to say, I guess, but extended meetings between Donald Trump and minors. And we all know for what purpose. Skin-crawling stuff, people. But let's see what's happening. Look at this, 20,000 page. This is one of the live reporters has been combing through a batch of 20,000 pages of documents, images and emails released by the House Oversight Committee relating to Epstein. That's a heck of a chunk of, and oh yeah. MAGA heads will tell you that the files don't exist. Where have these 20,000 pages just suddenly appeared from? But specifically, focusing on 3 emails initially published by Democrats on the committee, featured exchanges between Epstein and his longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell, separately with the author Michael Wolff, who's written several books about a few books about Donald Trump, I believe. I did feature a clip of him a short while ago on a live stream. I'm pretty certain of that. One of the emails from Epstein to Maxwell from April 11 reads, "I want you to realise that my dog, that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him. Although the contents contain Trump's name, none of the emails are to or from Trump directly, and he's always denied wrongdoing." Sorry, I'm not laughing at the case. I saw I think it was The Onion did a meme about that earlier. Oh no, that's a different Donald Trump. but you wouldn't put it past them, would you? Solidari-Tea, Graham, thank you very much for that super chat. Let's show that some appreciation. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us on the stream as always, Graham. Let's see some biggage of the uppage, please, in the chattage. Adjust back to normal grammar now. Thanks again for that, Graham. A possible early December vote on whether to release the files. That's interesting. House petition to force the vote on release of the files secures pivotal signature. A new member of Congress, Democrat Adelita Grijalva, signed a petition to force a vote on whether to direct the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. That was just seconds after being sworn in, and she becomes the 218th signatory on the petition, pushing it to the required threshold to move forward. And what other horrors are we going to hear about that are going to be revealed? Again, I've heard hearsay, allegedly, that a video of Trump engaging in such heinous acts is, well, it exists. Who has it? Is it included in this batch of documents, or do the Democrats have it? Who knows? If it does exist, of course, we emphasise allegedly. This is vile stuff, people. It just more or less reinforces what we already know, of course. But it's still shocking, even though it's not the first time that we're finding out of Trump's nefarious activities by a long stretch. It's going back to the lawsuits as well, previous lawsuits, like I mentioned, was it the Paramount Comedy one with South Park or whatever it was? Earlier in the stream, he won another case. I can't remember who it was or what outlet. They said that he had been convicted of rape when it was actually sexual assault. There is a legal difference there, obviously. I can't remember the amount. It might have been undisclosed. But that's just another example. You know, so petty. As well as the fact that, you know, if all you got to shout about, if your reputation is ruined and, you know, you accuse me of rape, how dare you? I'm a sexual assaulter. That's not exactly doing your reputation any good. Jesus. But that's the level that you're at with Donald Trump. So that's been the main focus of today's story, that email about the extended meeting with Trump. Now, we're not talking about young women here, we're talking about girls. I think the extended shutdown itself is an attempt at distraction, of course. It's a record now. How long's it been? However many, well, it's gone into weeks now, of course. But it's a record. That doesn't distract from all this. And so we'll just summarise with some of these bullet points, I guess. Spokes have obviously come back and said absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong is the proof that's there. Would that take 20,000 documents? That also suggest, oh look whose name comes up. Well, how's about that, people? Yeah, so Peter had contact with Epstein as late as 2016. And there's already been examples of shows of support from Trump and Peter Mandelson. Even after he was convicted, and saying that they'll back him, and I can't remember the exact words, but that's pretty much what they were getting at, despite what was known about him. And certainly, if that was anyone you know, you'd want to disassociate immediately. It's ridiculous. So it's getting worse and worse for Trump, at least. Of course, though, the victims always have to be the main focus of this conversation now. And their stories need to be heard. That'll be some way for the President of the United States to go out, really, wouldn't it, people? Right, let's have a quick catch up on the poll. 31% of you think Streeting will make the challenge against Starmer before the next general election. Some 50% think the challenge will come from some other ghoul. 19% of you don't think there'll be a leadership challenge before the next general election. Are you insane? Well, I guess it doesn't say 2029, which is the next scheduled election, but make of that what you will. I think there'll be a general election before that point, certainly. Almost certainly. Okay, Brew Chatchos. Time for another shout out to the members on the channel. And really good to get up to 127 as well. I do appreciate those gifted memberships on tonight's stream. And is it FSM? Is the dog for joining as well? Solidari-Tea people. Super thanks are open if you're watching back later on. Just a reminder that there's also a Buy Me a Coffee page if you check out the description of the stream or any other content on the channel. Please do check some of that out as well. Thanks again, everybody. And I'm just getting a raid redirect set up as we get towards the end of the stream. So stick around, people, don't go anywhere. Let's see if we can raid into some other quality streaming. We've got this space live. So we'll go to this space. I've not been over there for a couple of weeks or so. Why the devil not? Right, that's all locked in. Sorry I had to do the rest of those stories a little bit briefly. but it's Keith's catchphrases, that's the main bulk of Brews at 10 on a Wednesday. I might be able to squeeze in another live stream before the end of the week. We'll see, but there'll always be the Sunday live stream, of course, right at the end. So please do join me on the next one. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on that. Just one final chance to make sure that you've hit thumbs up on this stream and other supportive buttons. So we're all set for the raid, yep. Right. Free Palestine, Sudan and Yemen, and power to the people. My left, I'll be seeing you soon. Take care.